I'm Peter Duplock, Chairman of the London Bus Preservation Trust. I'd like to welcome you all here today. But what I'm going to do is simply hand over to the Transport for London Commissioner, Peter Hendy. They say the sun shines on the righteous, so Peter.
There can't have been very many righteous people here this morning then, because it wasn't shining earlier. Thank you, Peter. I've been given a few words to say about all these 4 buses, so I'll get going. This one behind me is RT2775. 60 years ago this year, 3 London buses toured 12,000 miles across the USA and Canada to promote British goods and travel to Britain. Over 80,000 people took trips on the buses in over 80 towns and cities. They weren't modified in any material way, they were just standard London buses, and they completed their 6-month tour without a hitch. On return to London, they entered normal service and served for up to 25 years on London streets, always carrying a GB plate on the rear to remind people of their special history. 2775 is the sole survivor of these 3, worn out by 25 years service. It's been completely restored by the volunteers at the London Bus Museum to its original condition. Note the original advertisements exactly as carried on the North American tour. On the tour, it was actually the bus which was the workshop and crew quarters, but I think you can forgive the museum for restoring it with all its normal seating. The restoration's taking something like 15 years, somehow other things always got in the way, but now it's finally done. It's actually a beautiful job, as you can see. Some of the restorers deserve a special mention. Their meticulous attention to detail has resulted in the fine vehicle you see here today. Peter Plummer, Richard Hussey, Nick Abbott, Ian Barrett, Saul Woods, Steve Bigg and George Goodwin. And I'm pleased that many of them are here too. And if you look at it closely, it really is a fantastic restoration. It's the first RT I've ever seen with the trafficators that work. London Transport sent 11 staff with the buses. They were drivers, fitters, engineers and craftsmen under the leadership of a senior inspector. All the staff were expected to take turns driving. The youngest crew member was Albert Dennis, an electrician at Victoria, who had to take a driving course. It says here a crash driving course, but that's not what it means. It means a quick driving course, I think. Probably doesn't mean that either. And passed his PSV test just before departure. Although Albert has sadly since passed away, we're delighted to welcome his widow Audrey, who is here with us today. Back in 2001, Audrey very kindly donated to the museum her late husband's collections of photo and memorabilia from the tour, and we always promised her that she would be our honoured guest when the bus was restored. Audrey? Where is Audrey? She's here somewhere. She's here. Come and join us. We're only sorry that it's taken so long, but we're so pleased that you can be here today to see the bus that Albert drove 60 years ago, and I would like to present to you on behalf of the museum, with a grateful thanks to the museum, these pictures from our archive showing the crews on the tour and including your late husband.
Isn't it? So her husband actually drove that bus. Yeah. Them years ago, huh?
Thank you very much.
See what, scrap all our buses, mate, just get our RTs, you know what I mean, or RMs.
So, I'm also very pleased to welcome here on behalf of the museum today members of the Gwynn family. George Gwynn was the tour's senior driver and based at Catford Garage. George first drove London buses during World War I, and during his long career with London Transport, he was often called upon to drive the preserved buses, including the famous B-type from World War I called Old Bill. 3 of George's great-grandchildren, Alison, John and Alan, are with us here today, together with their spouses and children. We welcome you all warmly, and we'd like to present to you also a set of the photographs of the tour crews, including your great-grandfather. So this isn't in the speech, but actually George was the last surviving driver of the B-type, the old Bill, and indeed when I was a much younger man than I am now, I used to organise the London Transport contingent to the Remembrance Day march at the Cenotaph, and for many years, until actually quite recently, the only people who were allowed to march, other than people in the three services, were the London Transport contingent, and that was because when they drove the B-type buses to the Western Front of the First World War, they were never enlisted in the army. They actually remained employees of the London General Omnibus Company, paid by the company as drivers, and despite the fact that some of them went 5 years through the First World War, some of them lost their lives, and they came back and they were just ordinary bus drivers. And George was the last survivor, and actually sometime in the 1980s he laid the wreath at the Cenotaph when he was well over 90, and that was astonishing and actually really very moving. So, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would now formally like to announce the completion of the restoration of RT2775 and have the pleasure in presenting it and commending it to you. It will now be one of the star exhibits at Cobham Hall, but have no fear, will also be seen out at events from time to time. Before finishing and allowing you to get back into all the attractions, let me just draw your attention to the other special display on my right, those three. So, since the B-type, or actually the X-type if you're really historically accurate, London's had a tradition of designing its own buses. For many decades those designs led the country, if not the world. London General and London Transport epitomise not only good design, but the leading edge of technological developments. So, alongside RT1 of 1939 and RM1 of 1954, which are the forerunners of London's most famous buses of all, the 7,000 RT types and the nearly 3,000 Route Masters, Leon Daniels and I, well, he drove it actually, so he brought it here today with our friend from Arriva. LT1, the first of a new generation of buses designed for London and now in trial service on Route 38. It combines the latest technology. It's the greenest bus on the road with the traditional features that Londoners value so highly: attractive design, passenger comfort, and one that the Mayor values very highly, the hop-on, hop-off facility at the back. So enjoy this particular display, because I think it will be a long time before three number ones are together again. They've all been designed for London. Two of them are loved by Londoners, and we think probably the third one will be as well. And then the very last thing to say before I stop, and another thing that isn't in the speech, Leon and I are lucky because we're senior people at Transport for London, and we're lucky to do something we really enjoy. But on some other Sunday than today, those of you who haven't had a really good look around the London Bus Museum at Cobham should really go and have a look round, because I think, and we think, that actually that place, the new museum at Brooklands, a sustainable financial solution to the old place at Cobham, is a real achievement by people who've got it there. The old thing was fun and it had some memories, but the new London Bus Museum is a fantastic place. It's based in a location where it gets loads of visitors, and we both really hope that the people who really put the work into the London Bus Museum, Peter and Michael and all the others, should be really, really proud of themselves at having created, in very difficult economic times, a modern museum in which many of the exhibits will be sustained and will be looked after, which otherwise would have gone for scrap. With that, thank you all for listening. Have a good afternoon. I hope it doesn't rain again, and good luck. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, now I'm going to go there Thursday, have a look around, innit? Look at